Hey, so a couple months ago, my group practice made the leap from one EHR to a new one, and we chose Jane. There's a bunch of reasons why we chose Jane specifically, so I've brought along my practice manager, Alana, today to talk about um, why we chose Jane, how the transition was, and how it's going now. Alana, maybe we can just jump right into your top 5 lists as to why we
Mhm.
chose Jane.
I think that's a great way to start. So I'm just going to pull up my handy dandy list here on the side. I like to follow off of my notes. So number one is messaging to clients. It's really stinking awesome that it's all in one place. A lot of EHRs out there, that they use secure client messaging. Jane does too, but everything truly is in one place. So instead of having a cluttered inbox, you go to the client page and you go to messages and you can see all of the auto reminders, whether it's by text, by email, an invoice, a super bill. It's all in one place. And you can also see when the client opens the message too, very specifically for email. And it's really great to be able to kind of check in that way and have that confirmation that a super bill was received. So it's really
Yeah, I
nice.
I actually like that feature a lot. It's something we didn't have with our last platform, but,
Mhm.
if I'm in the middle of my day or whatever, and I might message you to say, "Hey, can you send a quick email to this client or a text or whatever?" Um, you can do that in Jane, and it can happen, and then there's record of it happening right there within their chart. So
Yeah.
that's a feature that I didn't know I needed
Mhm.
until we had it.
The transparency is just incredible, right? It's like I don't have to send you a message and say, "Hey, I sent it." I mean, I still do to let you know that it happened, but you can pop in the next day and see, okay, your client received it because they opened the email, and
Yeah.
it's just really great. Gosh, and that just kind of springboards me into my next feature. Is there's incredibly customizable. I know I cut out there. Did you hear that? Yeah,
Yeah, it's
just
okay.
they're so customizable. You can add as little or as much as you want to. And for our more detail requesting insurance companies out there, we're a private pay practice. Sometimes they want a little bit more information than others want, and our clients can come and tell us, and it takes 2 clicks. It's so easy. It's like, where have you been all my life? On the admin side, it's just a huge stress reliever. Okay, intake paperwork. Wow, 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 wow. There is nobody quite like Jane. It's so streamlined. It's truly incredible. So, with one click of a button, I send all the intake that asks for their personal information. It sends them the questionnaire for why they're coming to therapy. You can add default features where it requires credit card information to be entered in order for the intake to be complete. Um, just I don't just don't that's like a whole other, like, it takes so much stress off of the admin plate, and um it creates a very seamless experience for the client to where they're not having to fill out page after page of paperwork. It's just all in one place. It's just very, very, very awesome. And then payroll. Okay, payroll for our clinical staff has improved immensely. Um, our clinicians, like most staff are, I expect, are paid a piece pay, and calculating that can be very tedious, and making sure that our clinicians are compensated properly and making sure that no appointments are missed in their paychecks. Payroll and Jane is just it's hard to explain. You have to kind of see it for yourself, but this is probably what sold me. This was like, take our money, let's make the switch, let's do it. um, and then finally, this is an interesting feature that most EHRs, I'm surprised, don't have, is the ability to book by room. So, at John's practice, he has 2 offices. He is planning on expanding further because that's what he does. Um, it's really nice as for our intake coordinator specifically, they can pop into the availability calendar, right, for the clinicians, and be able to see, hey, looks like office one is open, looks like we can put this person here. It just, it makes for a lot more, it creates better checks and balances instead of just using our Google spreadsheet for the office map. So just really, really great. So that's my top five.
Awesome. Well done. Yeah, a couple things that stand out to me that I want to get into was the customer service piece. I think we you did a ton of research and basically researched and test drove all the top EHRs in our industry, and Jane checked more boxes than the rest. The customer service piece is really important, and I think all the EHRs kind of say they do it
Oh
well,
yeah.
but there's varying degrees of customer service, and especially with our last platform, you send an email, and you're lucky if you get an email back that day, and it may or
Mhm.
may not answer your question, and you're caught in this kind of email delay, this email loop until further notice. Um, Jane seems like a big upgrade in terms of customer service, in
Oh
terms
yeah,
of
a
getting
hundred
some
percent.
help quickly and them carrying you all the way through to finding a solution. Um, and so that piece, I kind of joke they're like the friendliest EHR under the sun, in part because they're Canadian and Canadians are so darn friendly, and that's true of Jane. I've met a bunch of them in person at a Jane event in San Francisco a while back, and so even meeting the folks behind the company really gave me a lot of confidence in who we're investing in, and even the future of Jane being able to grow and create new features for mental health practices specifically. The other piece that goes with the customer support is, like you mentioned, the customization is
Mhm.
really elaborate. I mean, you can kind of use it or not use it, but the options to really tailor the software to your practice are pretty endless. So if that's something that people are interested in, then that's a big plus for Jane.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love that we're able to put our logo on the client login. And all of our colors, our branding is there. It just makes for a very what's the word I'm looking for? Uh hmm, it'll come to me later for sure. But it makes the client login page, it's just, it's all the same, right? It's That's whatever word you would use to describe that, it's all the same. It's very comforting, I think, from the client experience, the client side of things.
Yeah.
um you know uh,
Maybe you can talk a little bit, Alana, about the transition itself, because it's obviously a big project. We had been with our last EHR
mhm,
for a long time, and so a lot of
mhm.
data. We've had a number of clinicians, here at the practice currently and previously, so a lot of data in a lot of different places. But maybe just speak a little bit to that transition, and also speak a little bit to how the Jane customer support folks actually helped you with that transition.
Oh yeah, they were, oh my gosh, so many great things to say about them. First of all, when we made the transition, Jane has a public guide that you go and you search by name. So what I did was, my first step was I searched our old EHR by name, and was able to pull it up. They provide a step-by-step guide on transition, literally holding hands, like, hey, this is your EHR that you're transitioning from. These are the steps we recommend that you take. Don't take our word for it, obviously do your own research. But it's the instructions were very detailed, super helpful. Took a lot of the anxiety from myself, because we're dealing with PHI, right? That's very sensitive data. We have an ethical and legal responsibility to protect that data and make sure that it's staying on record for however many years we're expected to by the state of California. That's more of a John question. It's not my question. But so that was really, really great. And then I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's not quite an onboarding buddy, but when I opened our account, like it was this left side, it was the left side of my screen. I remember it vividly because it was so cool, and I've never experienced an onboarding experience like this before. And it gave me a step-by-step checklist on setting up the account. So it wasn't just left on my own, right, or reading a guide. It's step by step. It put me through, add your logo here, add your colors here, add the practice tax ID number. This is the window you put it in. Start adding your staff members. You know, this is our recommendation for what their access level looks like. And a huge bonus, by the way, of Jane is that all of their admin accounts, including my role, is included in your subscription. You do not pay for admin accounts, which is like a huge plus for us because
Yeah.
we have a good sizable amount of admin support at our
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
Um, just really great. And then once we opened up our account, they prompt you, whenever you're ready to get on the horn with somebody, you can book an hour-long call and it's included in our subscription. There's no additional cost to set up our account. And, you book a call with one of their pros, one of their experts. Obviously, we chose somebody in the US. For our listeners, they offer support very specifically for users in Canada versus users in the USA. There's a couple of nuanced differences. Um, and, obviously I came prepared with my list of questions, but they're just really great at asking prompting questions. Say I knew I had a problem but I wasn't sure how to explain it. They're very patient. Just can't say enough good things about it. Yeah.
Yeah, one piece you mentioned in there was around cost, which obviously for me as a practice owner is a big
Mhm.
deal. And looking at the most recent update to our account, um, I would estimate that we're paying about a fourth of what we were paying for our old EHR,
Wow.
and so that
Wow.
savings is very significant. Your point about not getting upcharged for any admin that you have or additional admins, whatever,
Mhm.
is significant. And from what I understand, also the billing piece, if you have part-time clinicians, they cost less than full-time clinicians. So depending on how
Mhm.
many appointments they have on their calendar. So that's a big deal too, right? Because for a lot of group practice owners, having a part-time clinician is usually just as costly from an admin perspective as a
Mhm.
full-time employee. And in this case, Jane helps cut down on that cost quite a bit.
So true. That is so true. Yep.
Yeah. So the process itself, right? Like you mentioned, there was a lot of help that Jane offered. They definitely know
Mhm.
what they're doing in terms of helping with that transition, getting the data transferred over smoothly.
Mhm.
One thing we had to do naturally was have clients add their credit cards to Jane. There was no way to transfer that
Oh yeah.
data,
Mhm.
which makes sense. That we don't even want to be responsible for that data,
Yep.
bringing it over from our old EHR. So that was one piece that we did have to have the clients do, and that took a little time and
Mhm.
diligence to make sure every single client, who comes here to our group practice had a credit card uploaded into Jane. So a little bit of a transition there to make sure it was all there. And then at some point it was done and we kind of made the full transition. Anything that you would have done differently with the transitions? I know one thing we did is we did it over the course of like a couple of weeks, and some of our
Mhm.
clinicians were kind of straddling both EHRs for a bit. So I'm
Mhm.
curious your thoughts on that piece or any lessons you learned that you could share with our audience as to how you would do it a
Yeah.
little differently.
I definitely would have pulled the plug on our old EHR sooner for sure. Just cut the cord, make once all of our information was imported, we acknowledged that there was a learning curve. Jane has an application for that too. It's called their Handy Dandy Jane Guide, where it gives step by step instructions for practitioners with videos and written documents. It's all available online. You don't have to be a subscriber. You can access it from their website. All that aside, yeah, just really pull the plug sooner. You knew that I had a lot of anxiety around like, oh my gosh, we're moving to this new HR system, and like making sure all of the data was backed up. And I really wish we had cut that sooner. Um, but I am so thankful that we were able to take advantage of your exclusive promo code that gave us a month free in our Jane account to kind of help buffer the transition. And I love Jane's reasoning around that too, and the reason why they offer us and your viewers the 1 month free, they want to make sure that you have as much time as they can possibly allow to buffer the costs on the practice, right? They realize that EHR systems are very costly. That is a part of the practice's budget, and they want to make sure that you're not having to pay for the same thing twice. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, we appreciated that a lot. Um, anything you want to say in terms of getting our clinicians up to speed with it? 'Cause obviously there's a learning curve for
mhm,
you as an admin, and the way you use EHR is a little unique. But then for a clinician to go from our old EHR to Jane,
mhm.
anything that stands out there in terms of helping clinicians get up to speed?
Yeah, yeah. So, just really, I think what I would, if we ever do this again,
We
if
won't. That's okay.
we won't. But if we were, um, I would make a bullet point list of all the hot points that are important to our clinicians. Number one being, how do they set their availability on the calendar? I
Mm,
feel like I was pretty thorough with that checklist, but looking back, there's some finer details I would fine tune. Um, you know, Explaining to them how to set up their breaks and making sure you have your availability right on the calendar, but then you also need to have time blocks for like lunch. Our staff deserves and needs a break like any normal human being. Um, and what else was how to access the service codes. I think it's a little bit
mm,
different. It's definitely, every EHR is going to be nuanced, but I think kind of spending a little bit more extra time with them, showing them where to access that. Jane's really great. You just type it in, and it auto populates for you. You don't have to add it into their system, it's already there. Um, I think that would have probably been very helpful and avoided some questions that I got
yeah.
bombarded with a couple weeks later. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a learning curve to any EHR, any new platform. Things are
mhm,
located in different places. That
mhm,
that is a big piece of learning to use it is just, "Hey, where is this feature that I need?" Or where do I,
yep, yep,
change the length of the appointment or the service code or whatever it's gonna be. But then getting some of those basics under your belt, helps
mhm,
to be able to use the platform on the fly and then continuing to kinda learn as you go. And then, of course, like any software, it's gonna keep evolving with us, and Jane is always working on new features and taking
mhm,
feedback specifically from therapists to evolve the platform in a way that helps therapists get more out of it. So my sense is that the platform will only get better from here, and it's already really good out of the box. And again, highly customizable, really great
mhm,
customer support, and the learning curve is really not too bad at all. And then finally, yeah, the transition itself. There's a lot of help that is offered around that because they know that's a delicate process and a barrier for a lot of people, changing EHRs or deciding to change EHRs. So that's a little bit about our story as to kind of how we got here, how we made the leap to Jane, why we chose Jane, and how it's going now. So things are very smooth now. We're super happy with it, and we're also really grateful to Jane, for partnering with us here at Private Practice Workshop to get the word out about Jane. So we really appreciate Jane being a partner in that regard for this business, in addition to us using Jane now at our group
mhm,
practice. For folks interested, of course, you can get a free month. The code is there in the bottom of the screen, PPW1MO for month. At sign up, you'll get a 1 month grace period. You can just check out the platform, you can test drive it, you can talk to their support folks and see, get your questions answered, see if it is the right platform for you. So I'd encourage you just to give it a test drive and see what it might be like. And if it could be in fact the platform for you. So Alana, thank you again for doing this. Also, something just to throw in there, of course, Alana started out just helping my group practice. So she's our trusted practice manager. She also works here at Private Practice Workshop, but you also have your own company helping
mhm.
therapists. And so if you want to say a little bit about that and then let people know how they can reach out to you and learn more about working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so stoked that I have an opportunity to share about this. It's definitely been a labor of love for the last 6 months. I have really niched down and honed my skills and kind of really specialize in the onboarding process. I'm low key, high key obsessed with onboarding, in regards to anything, whether it's onboarding a new employee, onboarding a new application like the Jane app. And that's something that I offer to folks in private practice, more specifically for private practice group owners. You can learn more about me by visiting my website, www.seamlesspracticesolutions.com. And you can also submit inquiry through my website, or you can email me at hello@seamlesspracticesolutions.com.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, and we'll throw some links to your stuff in the description here. So, yeah, that's it for now. I hope this was helpful for folks curious
Mhm.
about Jane. And again, we appreciate Jane for being a partner for Private Practice Workshop, and we look forward to continuing to grow our group practice with Jane. So, Alana, thanks again for being here, and thanks to the folks who are tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, John.